Okay, so I just wanted to say welcome and thank you guys for coming and sharing. I know it's been a busy school year so far, so I thank you for taking the time to do this. So we're going to hear from all three of you, and we'll go through and everyone can give their quick, 5-minute presentation, and then after that we'll have some time for questions, and then we'll move on to the next person. So it shouldn't take probably no more than like a half an hour, 45 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
Sound good? Okay, so Mary, we will start with you. I'm gonna pass this on over to you.
All right. So for starters, I apologize for my old school Google Slides, but I thought I'd just kind of give you an overview of what myself and Jen, my partner teacher, who recently, about 2 months ago, moved to Canada. So it kind of threw a loop in our plans. But a lot of this, if I refer to we, it's the two of us organizing it. So really, it's just kind of the prep, like you guys know, before and after LabVenture, and certainly during. Our students come into fifth grade with a lot of background. They do a big ocean unit, studying everything from habitats to species to pollution. And then you guys probably know too, in fourth grade they do a big main studies unit as far as more localized habitat. And we're on the mid coast, so they have a lot of hands-on experience coming in, which is nice. And we don't necessarily, to be honest, have a lot in our current science curriculum that connects, but we've kind of maintained an ecosystems mini unit to kind of play off of and use for research skills. So considering the kids come in knowing that, we did more preparation to ensure they'd get the most out of what LabVenture offers as far as everything, just from the technology you guys have set up to some of the research and the real life authentic decision making and things like that that they go through, and then the videotaping and their kind of critical thinking and bringing information together. So we definitely used the site, just let them kind of play around and see some student samples, and went through some of the games. And then we also use an app. There, yourself, there's lots of concept maps, but we use Total Recall in particular, in hopes that the iPad work and the concept map they make there to kind of show the interdependence of the ocean and us, thinking ahead, getting into that, which helped this year because we hadn't done that in the past. And this year I feel like it kind of took a little bit off the learning curve of the technology, so they got so much more out of kind of understanding the interdependence. And then we did a lot with communities in general, kind of the cause and effect of how we impact each other as well as the nature around us, in hopes that going in they would kind of walk out not just learning more, but kind of feeling more of what role they play in Maine in particular, but the world altogether. And some were, we did problem solving for the video clip preps, because we felt like that was really trying, as far as critical thinking goes, the video stuff that they've done in the past with you guys, to be honest, wasn't as great as we always felt like they could do, so we thought maybe we just need to do a little bit of preparation. So I just put some of the questions that we kind of had them go through, and then we did some follow-up after too, so they could kind of see their before videos and after. And we had them work with the groups that they were going to be assigned at LabVenture, just to kind of get a sense of their own growth and knowledge and ability. And it was interesting for us because they critiqued each other afterwards too, and they were able to give each other a lot of feedback of what they could have added as evidence or ideas and what they didn't do right, which they all love to call each other out on, which was great. So doing that ahead of time was great, and then using it after was helpful too, both for LabVenture in particular, but just in general, just the way that they're learning in the classroom in all subject areas. So far, so good?
Yep, keep going.
Okay. All right. So post LabVenture, the stuff we definitely did after, our hope was, and this is kind of where we dropped the ball, we went in the summer and we had planned that for the time you guys gave us, kind of taking the next gen standards and new units we're going to be working towards and using some of your kits, but it failed. Our district decided not to go with next gen right now. And so I think I talked to you, Kim, I can't remember who, but we're trying to, I was going to use the kit, but it was more just for like feeling like we needed to because we kind of made a commitment, but it didn't really fit in a way that made sense. It was kind of random. So we are hoping to go towards next gen next year, but if for some reason the district puts it off again, my new partner teacher and I are going to kind of go through, we just have an overarching theme that has to do with just interdependence of ourselves and the natural world. So our hope is that we can use some of the watershed kits and other kits to just as kind of just more exploratories for the whole, like even just literacy skills. So I'm curious to see what you guys have to say of what you've done in that respect, because I haven't used them yet. We definitely did the activity cards, which I appreciate you guys putting together so much, because they're, I mean, for as simple as some of them seem as far as the ideas, the specifics and the visuals that you offer were great. I don't have student work to show you, but what some of the students, what they did do with some of the different activities we did, we used Educreations, and they created some hilarious kind of ongoing cartoons showing like lobsters going into the trap and what happened and what could happen. And so they really played it out. Unfortunately, we don't have subscriptions to those apps, so we only have like one save, so we had to delete them. But anyhow, going through the activity cards was great, and I've actually used a lot of them in other content areas, which have been very helpful. Connections in general, which were great this year that we didn't do last year, is our middle school. We're a K-8 school. A few of the local fishermen, we have parents here, did a lot with the green crab problems, and the kids have been studying with them and going to the mud flats. So based on LabVenture, our class was kind of prepared ahead of time with questions that they wanted them to research and answer and present to them. So it was a nice connection within the school, but also we're trying to encourage our middle school teacher to get more involved with GMRI. I still can't figure out why she's not. And then on the other extreme, not the other extreme, but the other end, we scored some water cycle papers for the younger grades, the second graders, and followed up kind of sharing their understanding of what crucial role the water plays, both again in the world, but also just in Maine in particular. And it was really cool because they actually used a lot of what they learned at LabVenture and also online in the feedback they gave to the kids. So it was nice for us to see how much they really did take away. And again, next year, kind of going back to what I shared a little bit of our initial hope was I love the kits you guys have and that we saw last year. And even though they don't fit in, I feel like they're going to be so useful in learning in general. And we're hoping next year we get the 7th and 8th grade team to get involved in Vital Signs and Powerhouse. But if not, somehow link ourselves to it. And we didn't attempt to sign up for a Summer Institute this year because we're not sure about next gen, and we wanted to wait until we really feel like we'd get the most out of it because we have such limited space, we didn't want to take it up. But hopefully next year we'll get to do it again. And that's kind of where we were.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think you did quite a bit for saying that you didn't think you did that much. So does anyone have any questions for Mary?
Good job.
Yeah, nice job.
No, I wish, I'm looking forward to the new standards because I just feel like, I don't know, it just seems more real life opportunities of experience the kids can have. I mean, especially connected to GMRI.
Yeah, and I think to your point about incorporating Vital Signs or Powerhouse, Holly, I think that's probably a perfect segue for you, right? Because that's a lot of what you'd been doing was working with Powerhouse as a kind of extension. So if there's no questions, and I will use that segue to go right over to you, Holly.
All right, thank you.
So here, let me pass it over to you.
So show my screen. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Rob, Lindsay, and I teach 6th grade at Lincoln Middle School, and we went to the Summer Institute with you, and we both really were interested in LabVenture, but we realized that in Portland, 5th grade does it, and not all of the 5th graders, so we decided to focus on Powerhouse. And so here's what we did. So before we started the Powerhouse work, we introduced it with what's the difference between climate and weather. And we used this book and we read for parts of it, how we know what we know about our changing climate. And we used a lot of the resources that are on GMRI's Powerhouse website. Like we had the students play the carbon cycle game, and we used the carbon footprint website, that link that's in the teacher or the educator tools under classroom resources. And then after we played the carbon cycle game from there, as a whole class, follow-up, and also for students who were absent, we had them play this carbon cycle game that I think we found online. I'm not sure if we got it off Powerhouse or not, but this is what the screen looks like. And we changed a couple of the worksheets that were on the classroom resources just to make them a little more, well, what we thought kid-friendly. So I don't know if anybody wants a copy. Rob's actually the one that typed them, so he has the documents if you want them or have them to change. And we had the students watch the electricity sources videos that we got from the Powerhouse website, which were great. I was actually surprised at how well the kids did with those videos. When I watched them at first, I thought they were a little bit dry, but they're really clear, easy to understand, and the narrator goes over each source the same way, so it becomes really easy for kids to pick up what are the pros and the cons of the different electricity sources. We did digging into the data and changed that worksheet a little bit as well to try to make it a little easier for our low readers. Both Rob and I have a lot of ELL students and low readers in general. And this was also from an assignment that's right on the Powerhouse website that I believe Rob changed a little bit as well, but mostly just to make it easier to read. Neither of us had good luck at getting kids to sign up. We both had some kids get their families to sign up, but I think if next time we do this, I think we'll be better at it. We did this graph match activity that's on the Powerhouse, and then I actually also went to the Power Sleuth website to get a few more of their assignments to use as well. Here's an assignment that we based off of one from Powerhouse to write a story that explains what happened on this day. So they could either use, this is actually from Mr. Lindsay, they could either use his, or in my class they could use mine, or their own for that day and write a story. And this is just a screenshot of Rob's blog. We had them watch some climate change videos, just little short clips, and do this worksheet, which also worked really well. And then here's Rob's blog at the top, and those clips are still on there. That also I thought went really well. And we had two summative options. I had my students write an essay, and Rob had his students do a PSA. And here's the assignment that I gave the kids. They all wrote a 5-paragraph essay, and I kind of broke it down to what I wanted and what information I wanted into each paragraph, and I can give you more if you want the worksheets I gave the kids. I had them do research first, take notes, keep their own research, and then I helped them turn that into their essay. And this is actually, I think, some of the best writing I've seen kids do, and I think it was because of all the lessons that I had them do from Powerhouse. And this is just an example of just the first page. This student's turned out to be 3 pages. Obviously, I picked a good one to show off, but I have lots of examples if anybody wants to see more. And then here is a worksheet that Rob gave students to help them with their PSA. And here's a checklist. And he showed, and I also showed students some of the PSAs that you had on the Powerhouse website. And there's just the rubric. And I'll show one of the PSAs if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
When you use electricity, you use energy resources, and they let CO2 into the air, which causes climate to change. So here are some ways you can help. When you're done using the bathroom, turn off the water and turn off the lights. When you're done charging your electronic, unplug it to save electricity. Instead of using your dryer, hang up your clothes outside. The Earth's climate has changed before, but this time it's different because people are mainly responsible. The Earth's air temperature has risen 1 degree Fahrenheit in the last 100 years. At this rate, it could be 200 degrees on a summer day in 10,000 years. On Powerhouse, you can see how much electricity and CO2 you produce daily. Go to powerhouse.gmri.org to know how you can help.
Okay, so I think that's it for what I had to show. When I was listening to Mary, I thought of, oh, I should have borrowed that All My Watershed Neighbors kit because I'm learning about watersheds right now, or learning, I mean teaching about watersheds right now. And then next year, if I teach sixth grade again, I'll definitely do Powerhouse again. And if I teach seventh grade next year, then I'll definitely look into more about vital signs. Are there any questions?
The PSA was great.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Rob's student, so I can't take too much credit.
Well, and the outline for your essay, I would love to get a copy of.
Oh, sure.
Do you teach strictly science?
I do.
Okay, and did you have to do a lot of writing instruction along with it, or just the content alone kind of?
I did some writing instruction too. I work on my team, I work pretty closely with the ELA teacher.
Sure.
And I don't know if you guys do teachers college,
Mm-hmm.
but our ELA teachers do teachers college, and the science teachers have had a little bit of education around it. Like we've gone to a couple of workshops where they kind of run us through the teachers college, I don't know what to call it, way of teaching though.
Yep.
So I have a little bit of just a little bit of background in that, but it's definitely been helpful in getting me to get the kids to write more though.
That's great. That's one of our dilemmas right now for our middle school is the teachers college and implementing it. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Inspired me to do Powerhouse next year. I really
Oh, good.
do that. So I have.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Holly. You have been quite busy yourself as well. This is great to
Yep.
hear. I always love listening to these because everyone does it completely different, and every time I don't think I've heard the same story twice about how someone has extended LabVenture. So it's really cool to hear all the different ways people have been doing it. So with that said, Lorraine, I'm going to pass it over to you, and we'll hear how Lorraine and Sharon have been extending.
Okay, we both have nature trails at our school that we just don't think are used very often. And they're such beautiful learning resources. So we decided to focus on that. And we actually made a movie to share with you, just to show you some of the things that we had the kids do.
Okay.
No, there's never enough time, though. There's all these things that happen. We thought that, originally we really wanted to get our kids together, but being in different school districts and things coming up, it didn't work out that way. So we did have to kind of change it a little bit, our focus on having the older kids be teachers to the younger kids. So we kind of changed it a little bit, tweaking it along the way.
Yeah, so coming up, we have our students will be tour guides for the other classes to show them what we did and teach them about what's out there.
Cool. Very cool. So any questions?
I have a question. At your birdhouses, did you say the kids made cards that went with them?
Well, they have little learning stations. So in each area, they have identification cards of different types of trees and plant growth and animals that they might see in that area.
Did they make those themselves, the identification cards?
Yeah, so they took pictures and wrote on the back and
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'd definitely like to see what those looked like because I'm thinking about doing something similar.
Okay, we'll get that to you.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I think it's really cool that you guys also, having been in different schools, found a way to kind of connect it through both of your schools together. So that's cool. It's been great listening to what everyone had to say, and it's really exciting, like I said, to hear how everyone else kind of does it in a different way. And I love that everyone does it in a different way, and there's no one way to extend it. So thank you guys so much for sharing. If you're interested, tomorrow, Elizabeth and Dorothy were not able to join us today because of a retirement party that they're having, which is exciting for them. So if you're interested, I think tomorrow they're just going to share out to me since there wasn't another time that really worked for them. So if you would like to join us, I can send you that information as well if you want to join in tomorrow around 4 o'clock. They're going to talk about what they've been doing. So
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, anything like that?
No,
Nope.
thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you. I'm
Okay.
really sorry the movie didn't work.
We'll still see it.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
No worries. We'll get it to everyone. I'll make sure it ends up on the website too so that they can see what you guys are talking about. Okay.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
with that, I'll say thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you have a good rest of your week and school year and everything goes well.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome.